All right, so what we're going to do here in this video is look at a little bit of tracking. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do tracking that's sort of on one plane. So we'll just say like an X, Y type of situation. So don't really have any scaling going on. Really, we're just tracking an up and down motion and side to side motion. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'll put a link to these files. So go to File, Import, and import Canyon 01. And this is a video I got on Pexels. It was a 4K, so I just downsized it to be a little easier for download. We'll import that, and we will now bring that down and create a new comp. So just drag it on here for a new comp. And now we've got a comp at its size, and it is at about 13.5 seconds. So if we play through this, we can see it's just a simple kind of tracking shot. Nothing too crazy, little time lapse, and it looks maybe there's a little rotation, maybe it's a pan. We're getting a little closer, but we're not going to worry about it for this. We're just going to worry about that side to side motion. So what I'm going to do is, first off, I'm going to create a null, and if we go to Layer, New, Null Object. So a null is just basically an anchor point. There's nothing to it. It doesn't render. But you can use this as to link things to and to parent things to. Sometimes it's great for if you need multiple rotation points on an object. You can use nulls that way. So I've got this null, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter so that I can name that track point. All right. So now what we'll do is we need to track use our tracker to track this. So if we go to our video and we right click, we can go up to track and stabilize. And then right here, we don't want to track camera on this one, we want to track motion. So I'm going to hit track motion, and you can see the tracker opens up over here. So if we come in, we can see that we've got our motion source, that's our video. Current track, that's the name tracker 1. Track type, we're doing transform. You can see there's a couple others, stabilize, corner pin, perspective corner pin. So we'll do some of those here in another little quick video. But we're going to do transform. And right now on this one, we're only worried about position. So we're going to use that. If we look up here, I'm going to zoom in a little. You can see we have this track point. And what you want to do is find a good place of contrast. So like right here, this little outcropping, this little nub. So if I come in here, I can click inside that box, and then I just want to move this X is sort of the tracking point. This inner box is what it really analyzes particularly, and then this out here is it's sort of the limits that it'll go to. But really this is where you want to make sure there's a good bit of contrast. So between the sky and that rock, that should be great for us. Now this target is where this tracking data will be applied. So what I want to do is go ahead and hit edit target, and we are going to apply the motion to our track point. That's the only thing we've got here. So we'll hit that, okay. And then we want to make sure we're at 0 here. We're lined up. And if you had to move back, like if you were in the middle and you came back, just move your track point back in. And then what we do is just go ahead and hit this Analyze Forward button. So now you can see it's going through and it's checking frame by frame to track that contrast between those points. And we're almost done. Boom. So there we go. So now we've got our track point. We have our null. If we look at our null here, we can see, make sure we've got that selected, and then we just want to hit, before we do anything else, hit apply. Apply dimensions, X and Y. And now we can see our null has all those keyframes applied to it. And if we hit play, our null track point is moving along with it. If we scrub along, we can see it's tracking. Now, the cool thing is here, now we can take anything and parent it to that null. So we could have taken some text or an object or an infographic and done that. But by using a null, it's a little easier to just adjust our anchor point on what we want to parent to it. And it's not as exacting, perhaps. So you can do, and we're going to parent a few different things to this one null. So let's go ahead real quick and make some text. So I'll just come in here and we'll say Sunset Pictures presents. And that seems fine. And what I want to do is get that kind of where I'm going to get that close to where I want it. But before I get that situated, let's go ahead and parent Sunset Pictures Presents to our track point, right? So by hitting this pickwick here, the parent and link, I can go down here and hit track point. So now wherever that track point goes, Sunset Pictures Presents is going to go. And at this point, the anchor point is what's linked to it. So if I come in here to my Sunset Pictures Presents, roll that down, go to our transform, I can adjust my anchor point here a little. So maybe I want to nestle that right in. Okay, I'm not setting keyframes, I'm just setting that. So now that will move with that video. So for this, if we want to have that come in, what I can do now is maybe come over here, hit T for my opacity, and we'll move in maybe a second, set a keyframe, turn on opacity, and bring that down to 0 because we want to have it fade up. Come up maybe a second later, get that up to 100, move maybe 2 seconds. I'm just going to select that keyframe, copy and paste, Command C, Command V, or Control C, Control V. And then here, just bring that down to 0 as well. Another second further. So now if we look at that, we've got it fading up, it's moving along, fading down. Maybe in this, I want to put a little scale as well. So let's say we're here, and let's just add a little scale the whole time. So hit our S for scale, turn that on, and rolling along a little further, and maybe at 6 seconds, we're just scaling up a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Fades up, it's got a little scale, fades out. Nice. So now if we've still got this track point, this is going, we've got some time left. So let's go ahead and throw one more piece of text in. So what I can do, since this is already linked to my null, parented to my null, it already has the keyframe timing that I like for the scale and for the opacity. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate by Command D or Control D. And now with this one, the new one, let me just get to where I can see it again. Let's go ahead and drag that somewhere, maybe up here. And we'll say a Canyon Films production. All right, so we've got that, and let's see, that's coming along with it. And then we want to see where we want to lay that out. So again, we can get this somewhere. And since we don't have any position keyframes, that's just going to be there. So what I'm going to do, I think that might be okay. Maybe a little overlap here. And we'll come in. And what we can do now on this, if we hit U so that we can just see our keyframes that are animated, right? Our animated properties. Select all of those, and let's just scoot them down. So we have a little bit of overlap. So Sunset Pictures Presents, and then maybe right there, a Canyon Films production. So let's see how that looks. That might be a little too much. So maybe I want to remove them a little more. All right. Yeah, that's nice. So we've got that. And then maybe again here, let's just go to our footage. So our track is already there, so we don't have to worry about that. But what we could do with our footage maybe, let's add a little bit more of a mood to it. So we'll go to our effect and let's do color correct and our old friend, the Lumetri color panel. And just let's go and we'll go into creative and let's see what we've got over here. Let's do something like bleach HDR. So that's kind of nice. That might be a little more desert, right? If we wanted something there, we might have to change our type color. Let's see what else we've got. So we've got blue day for night. All right, maybe we wanted it to be a little more of a nighttime shot. So here maybe we also add a little, bring our saturation down some. And we could maybe bring in this intensity down a little. That was weird. Okay. And maybe up here we could say, with our basic correction, let's get a little more contrast maybe. And we could bring our exposure down a hair. Right? So now we've got a little bit more moody effect. So again, depending what you're going for, a little color correction, a little contrast can go a long way. So right there, we've just tracked that film clip. This could be, again, anything, an infographic. It could be your type. Anything can track to those points. All right. If you have any questions, send me an email. Thanks a lot.